Tanse, I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. We begin with developing news in Manitoba, where there has been a mass casualty event in Hollow Water First Nation. Manitoba RCMP say earlier this morning, multiple people in the nation were stabbed. Police are confirming that at least 6 victims have been transported to hospital and 1 victim is deceased. The suspect is also deceased. RCMP say they have officers at multiple scenes within the nation, as well as on Highway 304 just south of Black River First Nation. According to a statement from Shared Health, 6 patients have been transported by ambulance, while 2 have been taken by Stars Air Ambulance. Shared Health says, quote, "Our thoughts are with the victims, patients, families, and loved ones. Shared Health and HSC are ready to care for all incoming patients." RCMP are expected to provide more details this afternoon. They have offered sincere condolences to everyone within the community of Hollow Water First Nation and everyone who has been affected by this senseless act of violence. Today is also the 3rd anniversary of the mass stabbing that took place on James Smith Cree Nation in northern Saskatchewan, where a member of the community killed 11 people and injured 17 others. Hollow Water is located about 200 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. And if you need support today, you can call to the Hope for Wellness helpline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for counseling and crisis intervention at 1-855-242-3310 or connect to the online chat at www.hopeforwellness.ca and follow the links. It is now day 2 of the Assembly of First Nations summer meeting in Winnipeg. This morning's discussions focused on the ongoing opioid crisis and the need for more resources for First Nations policing. Our Fraser Needham is also there and he joins me now. Thanks for joining us again, Fraser. First off, can you tell us what some of the speakers had to say about the ongoing drug crisis impacting First Nations people?
We heard from Mark Arcand, who's the head of the Saskatoon Travel Council, who most of their members actually live in Saskatoon. So the opioid crisis has been a big issue there, especially since the pandemic. It's been a real problem. And they've sort of had to take matters into their own hands, I guess, in terms of providing mental health and addiction services. They say that help their members. They've said it's by their members it helps a lot more, but always funding is an issue. You know, the province really isn't giving them what they need. And also, he says that the homeless situation in Saskatoon is mostly affecting their members, First Nations people, and that drugs crisis and sort of homelessness are interlinked, and so they're trying to work on that. I did ask him about what he felt about safe consumption sites. You know, they've become fairly controversial, safe drug consumption sites in recent years, and that's not one area that he's in favor of going. He says he doesn't believe it works. He prefers to have mental health and addiction services for his members. He finds that far more productive.
And Fraser, what was said about First Nations policing this morning?
Yeah, sorry, it's a little bit hard to hear, but it's kind of timely with some of the stories that you led off with. Yeah, that's such a big issue, and we talked to Jerry Swamp, who's the head of the First Nations Police Chiefs Association, and you know they've been trying for years now to get First Nations policing as an essential service passed as legislation. Prime Minister Trudeau promised a number of years, but I think he said they've had 5 public safety ministers since, and nothing has happened. And he does say it's kind of fallen off the radar. So they really, you know, that community members want to do this service, but they just don't have the funding, and it's really at a kind of a standstill. So he says he has talked to the new public safety minister, Gary-Ann DeSanagri, about this, but I really think the belief is now that they have to push through the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, which they have had some success in the courts, to get this back on the agenda.
We have about 40 seconds left, Fraser. Finally, can you fill us in on what's happening this afternoon in the Assembly?
Well, of course, things got moved around, so it's going to be Cindy Blackstock from the Caring Society speaking about long-term reform in First Nations child welfare. I can say with that for sure that as she usually does, she'll take the government to task on this. Things have been at a standstill since the Chiefs last year in October in Calgary voted down this $47.8 billion settlement, sort of agreement that the Ottawa had proposed. Recent tribunal ruling said that they should get back to, negotiating at least talking to sort of the AFN and the Caring Society about reform, and also the Chiefs Commission, but Ottawa has challenged that and said, they want clarification. So I think this very well likely, as a lot of these issues have, ended up back in the courts, but we'll see what Cindy has to say.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us, Fraser. That's Fraser Needham. He'll have more coverage on the AFN Assembly in Winnipeg on tonight's newscast. A First Nations woman in Manitoba is going the extra mile to bring awareness to child sexual abuse. She completed an 800-kilometer journey to Winnipeg on nothing more than her bicycle. Her destination? The Assembly of First Nations Annual General Assembly to break the silence on child sexual abuse. APTN Sav Jonesa was there and brings us this report.
After an 800-kilometer bicycle ride to Winnipeg, Brenda Frog is preparing to deliver an important message to chiefs across Canada. She says child sexual abuse on First Nations needs to be addressed immediately.
I want the chiefs to be aware and to take the responsibility and accountability to make sure our children are safe and protected.
Frog is a band counselor and nurse from Pimicikamak Cree Nation in northern Manitoba. She rode her bike for 3.5 days to attend the Assembly of First Nations Annual General Assembly, where hundreds of chiefs and leaders from across Canada are gathering. Frog says children as young as 4 years old have been diagnosed with sexually transmitted infections like gonorrhea and chlamydia due to sexual abuse and incest.
It's very rampant, and it's worse in isolated communities where they have little resources. The community knows everybody, and there's a lot of victim blaming.
Alongside her journey are friends Berlinda Garrick and Connie Constant. They rode through difficult weather like high temperatures and rainstorms. Bicycles in hand, the three women entered the RBC Convention Centre, and Frog shared her message to chiefs and First Nations leadership.
As chief, you are responsible for your reserve. You are responsible for our people, especially our children.
Several esteemed leaders thanked Frog for her dedication to the cause and sharing the difficult stories of survivors.
I know that they're very difficult to talk about, but I think that it's something that we do have to fight against, to make sure that our little ones don't go what all of us had went through.
We have a duty and an obligation to make sure that our children are protected, even if these predators that we know of are our family. We have a responsibility to make sure that we are always protecting our children.
Incest is probably the worst thing that can happen to a child. And it's never discussed. It's never talked about. And the suicide rates continue to rise in our communities, the First Nations, because nobody wants to say something.
With the support of her friends and chief, Frog will address an even larger crowd on the AFN main stage Thursday.
I'm just really, really grateful for this opportunity. And like we said, it's time to break the silence. It's time to get attention, and you led the way. Like, you're blazing trails. As I'm a new counselor for my community, and you're inspirational in watching what you're doing for yours.
Sav Jonesa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The Winnipeg Police Service says they have found partial human remains earlier this week in the Red River near the University of Manitoba. Winnipeg police made the announcement late Wednesday afternoon. They said that last Tuesday, just after 1:30 p.m., Winnipeg police responded to a suspicious circumstances call at a riverbank on the Red River near Markham Road and University Crescent. Police say partial human remains were located and recovered. Work is now underway to confirm the identity of the partial remains, and the investigation is ongoing. No other information about the incident was provided at this time. Saskatchewan RCMP have made a number of arrests in Richmound this week, including the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada. We'll tell you what it all means when we come back. Welcome back. Saskatchewan RCMP have arrested 16 people, including the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, in connection to an ongoing investigation in Richmound on Wednesday. CTV's Angela Stewart has more.
You're under arrest. All right. Calm down.
It all unfolded at 4:30 Wednesday morning when RCMP executed a search warrant at the village's former school. Mounties moved in after a report of someone in the building being in possession of a firearm.
That report was received on August 25th, 2025. After receiving this report, Saskatchewan RCMP began an extensive investigation. This included careful monitoring of any risk to public safety and to the community of Richmound.
There were more than 30 police vehicles and dozens of officers involved in the operation, including members of SWAT teams and police dog services. In all, 16 people were arrested, 5 men and 11 women. Among them, the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, Romana Didulo.
She presented herself and identified herself as that and released it to the public, so I can confirm that she is in custody. But beyond that, I can't identify anybody else.
Didulo, the leader of this conspiracy group, has been in Richmound since 2023 after being forced out of the town of Kamsack. Police say the compound has been on their radar for some time, and they finally gathered enough evidence to move in.
Through the course of any of our investigations, before we take any action, we have to make sure that we do meet the thresholds that the courts will be satisfied that we can enter into private property.
I think that this is check. If it's not, checkmate.
Richmound resident Vanessa Johnson says for the last 2 years, the cult has created worry in the town among residents.
I mean, they've got surveillance, they had spotlights, they were threatening us, they were always being shady. You couldn't take your dog for a walk in the park. You couldn't take your kids over there without them videotaping you.
Johnson says the arrest is a win for the community.
She's no queen, she's no cult leader, she's no one to follow. I really do think that even if they do stay, this has just kind of given us a little bit more momentum on our side. It's a win for us. It's a win for us regardless.
RCMP have 24 hours to press charges. Otherwise, those arrested could be released. As of right now, 4 replica handguns have been seized while the investigation continues. Angela Stewart, CTV News, Richmound.
Every year, Ranch Airlo near Regina works with hundreds of children from across Canada, many of them Indigenous, and that's why a recent powwow organized by Ranch Airlo was so important as a chance to give the youths a memorable experience that represents them. CTV's Mick Fable reports.
For the 8th year in a row, Ranchero Society is hosting a powwow to celebrate Indigenous culture and the youth they represent.
For our young people, this is just an incredible opportunity for them to come out, showcase some of their skills, just to participate in something that's part of their culture and to demonstrate their skills with others in the community.
Over half of the youth Ranchero works with identify as being of Indigenous descent. Those within the organization are seeing that this representation of Indigenous culture does have a positive effect on the youth they work with.
The youth are starting to stand that much more taller. They're starting to feel that much more prouder to be able to share their cultural traditions and to be able to answer those questions, you know, where did I come from? Where am I going? What is my purpose and who am I?
The event itself has steadily grown, with more than 160 dancers participating this year, the most ever. 10 drum groups took part, with youth making up a large portion of the singing and dancing. Organizers say it's a time which brings not only Ranchero Society closer together, but other surrounding organizations, partners, and new friends.
This event helps us bring that relationship that much stronger and to be able to give back to the community, right? Our staff members embrace a lot of the cultural activities that we're able to implement.
In a few weeks, Ranchero Society will receive an event review to get a picture of how their powwow can get even better in the future. Mick Fable, CTV News, near Pilot Butte.
We now want to tell you about this week's second web poll question. Over on our website, we ask, do you consider hydroelectricity a form of green energy? Your answers are yes, no, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca to have your say. The hit show Yukon Harvest on APTN is now on its third season. We'll speak to one of the hunter guides right after this. We'll be right back. Will Island for staying with us, St. John's 20, Charlottetown 21. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, rain and 11. The Grand River 12 and rain. Quebec City, sunny and 22. Montreal 24. Toronto 13. Peterborough 16 and rain. Showers in Wawa at 7. Elliott Lake 13 and sunny. Churchill 8. Thompson 7. Brandon 7, Gimli 10. 13 in Regina, Saskatoon 14. Buffalo Narrows 11 and showers there, LaRange partly cloudy and 11. High Level 23 and sunny, Fort McMurray 16 and sunny. Medicine Hat 20, Lethbridge 22. Campbell River 28, Penticton 30 and sunny. Smithers 26, Fort Nelson 26 as well. 24 in Whitehorse, showers in Mayo at 20. Wrigley 20, Fort Liard 25 and sunny. Fort McPherson 12, Colville Lake 19 and sunny there. Chesterfield 7, Whale Cove 8. And Clyde River -1, Iqaluit +3. A series that chronicles the adventures of First Nations hunting guides is returning to APTN this Thursday night. Season 3 of Yukon Harvest follows the lives of several Indigenous hunting guides as they help Indigenous women and men aged 8 to 80 reconnect with land, culture, and community. One of those guides is Ed Jensen, who spoke with us earlier. Here's that interview. Ed, great to have you with us on the show. Can you tell us, how did you come to be involved with the series Yukon Harvest?
Oh, I would have to say it was the will of the Creator. It was actually through connections that I have here at home in Kamloops. I'm a good friend of the daughter of one of the associate producers. And I actually had no idea what Yukon Harvest was going to be. And I had a very impromptu interview to get casted on the series by the mother of a friend of mine, who is the wife of Donnie Harris, who was the man responsible for the vision of the TV series.
Right on. Definitely a small world indeed. The people on the show are going on their first hunt. Can you explain what are some of the things they experienced?
Well, a lot of first timers will at first have that sort of that shock of the great outdoors and its overwhelming beauty and solitude and mixing in that unknown factor. So a lot of people also quickly reconnect to something that their blood remembers. So it's a really cool thing to watch.
That sounds so interesting. Ed, why do you think a show like this is so important right now? You kind of touched on it a bit there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all about reconnecting. It's all about discovering the roots that people have and connecting to that homeland that their ancestors have tread upon for millennia. It wakes up within each individual the urge to seek out their culture and to really explore who they really are and where they came from. I think that for the most part, through all of the colonization that we've suffered and residential school and all of those things, it's really done a number to the psyche of our people and broken down our spirits. And it's that reconnection to the land that wakes that spirit back up and really gets us to find the urge to just have a better life and to discover those things that we inherently know we have within us.
And another thing to note, this season was not shot exclusively in Yukon. Can you tell us a bit about the other locations that we will get to see?
For sure. For my own part, we did a bit of filming around the Kamloops area in the area of central BC. Also a little bit north of us in the Secwepemc Nation at a place called Escat. We've been out to Alberta. There's, I know that some of the other folks have also done some filming in Saskatchewan and of course the Yukon. And so, I think that moving forward, it would be great to explore even more of Turtle Island that way. I know that each of our nations have a lot to share, and some of us do things a little differently, and some of us do things quite a bit the same. So it's really neat to see that, and I think that if we broaden our base a little bit, it'd be very awesome.
So it sounds like on this season 3, you're going to take us on a journey. Finally, Ed, do you have any behind the scenes stories you can share from the show?
Oh yeah, I think that this year, having my daughter along with me was something very special. It's a world that I truly cherish, and she never really got to join me on. She moved away to the city when she was a young girl, and having her reconnect and begin her healing journey here into Kamloops was awesome. As a result of the filming of season 3, she packed up her family from the city and moved back to Kamloops because that urge to reconnect and to really explore who she is and where she came from was overwhelming enough for her to make that huge move. So I got my grandchildren living close to me now, and it's just the greatest thing.
That's so great. Thank you for sharing that story with us, Ed. That's Ed Jensen, is one of the guides on the show Yukon Harvest on APTN. Thank you for your time, Ed, and we'll be sure to watch.
Thanks.
And that's your daytime newscast for this Thursday. Dennis Ward is back for your evening newscast in a few hours, including a new Truth and Politics segment. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next day.